But we do start with a look at Detroit schools. The governor is expected to introduce legislation to deal with restructuring the district and debt, and there are still conflicting ideas of how schools in Detroit should be changed and run. I spoke with the governor, Mayor Mike Duggan, and two members of the Coalition for the Future of Detroit School Children about how all of these various plans come together at the Mackinac Policy Conference. What would you tell parents right now who have children in Detroit public schools or in the charter school systems in Detroit? What can they expect now in the next 6 months or when they send their children back to school in the fall?
Well, I think it's a positive message. It shows the attention being put on education in Detroit. It deserves more attention. We need to get better results in Detroit. So if you look at these efforts, both the coalition effort, what I'm talking about, and we incorporated many things they put out there, is how do we raise the bar of performance for our schools in Detroit? Right now we have more supply than we have demand. We need that equalized, but I want to raise the performance bar on all schools, whether it be a DPS school, an EAA school, or a charter school. Our kids deserve better.
As far as the governor's decision to take the old debt, which was run up under the state emergency managers, everybody acknowledges it's the state's responsibility, and put that in a separate corporation, I think that's fine. Give the schools a fresh start. But I also think people in Detroit need to be able to elect a school board, just like every other city in this state. And I think if you held a new school board election in the next year, the best and brightest of Detroit would come out and run. I think people would get excited, and we start to get kids enrolling in the Detroit public schools again, and that's the direction I'm pushing.
But you're also pushing for some kind of financial review board as well to be able to oversee what's happening with the school board?
You know, I'm not necessarily pushing it, but I'm trying to find a compromise. So the governor says, okay, if we're going to pay off this past debt, how is the state assured it's not run up again? Well, the agreement we reached coming out of bankruptcy is that I report to a financial review commission. I monthly show them we're on budget, they approve contracts, and after we balance our budget for 3 years, they go away. I think it would be reasonable to say for the new school board to have the same thing for a period of time. And so I propose that as a middle ground because I think it's absolutely essential Detroiters get a chance to elect their own school board.
You know, what do you say to parents who are watching this, kind of jockeying back and forth and trying to figure out what the exact final plan for DPS is going to be, and they're waiting to enroll their kids for the fall? What would you tell them?
Yeah, I don't think anybody's waiting. Detroiters, I mean, it's been chaos since the emergency manager took over. We've had, of the 200 schools in Detroit, 160 have opened and closed in the last 6 years, which has just been a devastating effect on education. And so parents are making decisions between the school their child is in and the alternative schools they can afford to get to. And most charters are not offering transportation. So for the third of the families in our city that don't have a car, they pretty much don't have a choice. And so Detroiters understand full well what's going on, and I'm trying to get to a system where we provide transportation so you have a choice, we provide you information on the schools so you can make that choice, and ultimately that we have an authority that controls the opening and closing of schools to make it rational.
This has been absolutely a nightmare for parents to navigate at different points, just going from one primary system to now having multiple systems with no coordination. And so at the jump of the coalition, we were very intentional about making sure that parent voice was also an imprint in this plan. We got out in the dead of winter and we hosted a series of listening sessions where parents came in and they talked about wanting good schools. Every parent wants a good school for their kid. They talked about wanting safe schools. They wanted, additional programming, challenges around special education, challenges around transportation. How do you navigate a system and really find the right choice for your child to be able to take advantage of it if you can't get to it? And so lots of impediments came up, and parents expressing hopelessness, frustration around one day this school is open, the next day it's closed, nobody's talking to me, and shifting our kids around. And that's not okay because it puts kids in a losing position.
All right, so we have this set of ideas, and then the governor came out with what his recommendations could be. And then now we've heard from Mike Duggan about some of the recommendations that he supports. So, Tonya, how do we work this all together, and then with our lawmakers in Lansing to make sure that there's the funding to get it all done?
Right. Well, I think the good thing is that the coalition had some recommendations, the governor, the mayor, but they're not all that far apart.
So
there are some places.
Where are some of the similarities?
One similarity that we all agree on is that we need the Detroit Education Commission, which is really an opportunity to rationalize this very eclectic and hectic school environment that Sharlonda just spoke of, where we have more than 60 different school districts and over 100 different school buildings and operators that are happening in the city of Detroit. And 14 different entities can open and close schools without any coordination. So that's a great thing. So we're all harmonizing on that issue. Now we need to get the legislators to understand why this is important, that this is not an issue or effort to stump down choice or prevent parental choice. It's actually an enabler of choice and also an enabler of increasing high quality choice in the city of Detroit. And then I think many of us agree that we have to have a financial fix for the district. Now how we go about it is a difference, but I don't know if there is a lot of disagreement on that, right? The coalition has not come out specifically to say that we prefer the NUCO-OCO solution that the governor, but we're not opposed to it either. We think we have to have that played out. We have to see the numbers on it. And the mayor came out and said, we need to support and back it. And so I think that what we now need to do is pull those disparate ends together and tie it and knit it so that we come with a clear solution about where we want to go so that we're all rowing in the same direction.